everybody. Welcome back to D&D. Welcome back to Vicini. You guys have come back for more. We finished the one-shots. It was a lot of fun. Those videos are on Jim's YouTube channel on whatboardgame.com. Is that right, Jim?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you guys successfully went through Davidoff Spoony's cellar and managed to overcome some rather large obstacles down there. And happily, you guys decided you wanted to keep on playing, which is awesome. We're going to stick with your characters and we're going to pick up from pretty much where we left off and turn this into a campaign of sorts. And who knows which way that's going to go. That's partly down to you as the players. But something that should be noted both for you guys, the players, and for anyone that's watching, is that a campaign is a little bit different to a one-shot. A one-shot, I always feel, is a little bit like a railroad experience, if that makes sense to you. And what I mean by that is you go into the one-shot with a certain mindset that, oh, this is going to be an adventure. We'll probably do some crazy stuff. The player's almost looking for the adventure in a one-shot because you know that's the purpose of it, right? You essentially go from A to Z, maybe not in alphabetical order, but you're going to meander your way through to Z. In a campaign, it's more of a sandbox experience, and you start off on the rails, but then very quickly, at the very first junction, you'll go off on a tangent, and then from there, it's very much like a choose your own adventure sort of thing, and who knows where you're going to end up. I certainly don't know. I'm trying to place down railroad tracks as quick as you travel, a bit like that scene in The Wrong Trousers with Gromit, where he's desperately trying to lay down track while he's keeping up with that penguin. So I didn't. Yeah, there you go. There's no way I could have predicted I would say that sentence out loud. That's very much like a D&D campaign. We don't know where it's going to go. But one thing's for sure, I figured it makes sense to continue where we left things, because in the one shot I left a few little nuggets or things that you might want to investigate further. So before we jump back in, why don't we have a quick recap as to what happened in the one shot and what you guys sort of discovered.
First up, I'm on 4 hit points. So that's my main goal, which largely happened, I think, from, trying to remember now, the fire spider spitting its flaming web on me when we had to take that thing down. But thankfully, Fergus and Landris dispatched the spider whilst I was incapacitated by the web. Although Fergus was mainly dealing with the little baby spiders that were crawling all over his body at the time. Which was after we had ventured down underneath some crazy guy, Davidoff Spoony's brewery, because he wanted us to help clear out the bottom of the cellar, which we thought was maybe lifting a few barrels, but turned out jumping over some crazy Indiana Jones style trap that decapitated a bunch of giant rats and nearly killed 3 of us, and us fighting giant centipedes that nearly killed Fergus. And largely just creating havoc in this guy's cellar until we decided to drill back up and escape with a gnome spear that found us inside Davidoff Spoony's wife's shower, which I guess is where we are now.
Yeah, so you your backstory is, you kind of agreed you wanted to be, you'd come from different criminal paths. You're driven by the chink of gold, and this was a pretty decent paid job. I think you were promised 35. You negotiated 35 gold pieces each for this job. Have you guys marked that down on your character sheets, by the way?
Yeah, I'm loaded now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some other money, I think.
I think you may have found some.
For some reason, I've got 54. I guess I started with some.
I think you started with some more anyway, because Fergus's background is criminal, and I think you start off with a little bit extra money that you might have found by some sticky fingers. And
I feel like I found some potentially.
There was some in the bed, wasn't there? I mean, we found some in the dead gnome.
You said that you got some money and you shared it with us. That's why.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of cash now. And I've got this evil knife that we found in the chest.
You found a kind of hidden larder. Not a larder, a store room, I suppose. A walk-in storeroom that you found. And in there you found a second secret door that led to a crate. And inside that crate, Landris was able to tell that this dagger, which had runes along the blade that he wasn't able to decipher. None of you were able to decipher its language, but it felt there was something wrong, something evil, bitter, and jealous about this weapon. And I think, Thorin, you said you wanted to put it in your rucksack, and when you put it in your rucksack, your bag noticeably felt heavier.
Yeah.
I think you also found this is just me reminding you, you found a couple of scrolls. One of them was a note saying that Kizagar Longstaff, who you established must have been the person that was living or working down here, was requested by the Baron of Daskolovich to bring a weapon to him. I think this was the letter, or the scroll that Thorin was reading out, while another rat grew giant by sipping a potion on the floor. And I think you also found a second parchment inside that lockbox with the knife that was basically a plea for help that was signed from Kizagar himself. You guys both found those in the previous session, and I think Landris, did you find the equivalent of a scroll as well?
Yeah, I picked up a one-use spell scroll, Burning Hands.
Yeah, you were able to find that in among the remains of the books that were in that sort of laboratory. The laboratory, though, should be noted, it was somewhat dusty, covered in cobwebs. It looked like no one's been there for about a year or so. It did look as though it hadn't been disturbed by any sort of human or humanoid creatures. You were probably the first people in there since the last person that might have been in there. But of course, some creatures had made it their own home. And as Thorin mentioned, you did use a drill spear to get up, to sort of get out of this room. And the reason why is because the three of you, we've got Thorin here, we've got Landris, and we've got Fergus. Fergus, you had a little drinky, didn't you?
Yeah, about that.
Little sip.
So when last we left our heroes, Fergus was once upon a time this size.
Oh, Tom, tell me you've done
now,
it. Tell me you've done it.
This is brilliant. This is great.
This is unacceptable.
I mean, I think this is the tallest member of your party, but now you're in the shadow of.
Who's sneaking between who now?
I don't think my halfling abilities are going to work anymore.
So, for the first die roll of the campaign, Fergus, can you roll a d4 for me, please?
Is this how Fergus eats? It's so good, Tom.
And to start off with a 1.
Can we just clarify? That's the one with 4 sides on it, right?
This is the one I can't mix up.
Cool, you rolled a 1. Okay, perfect.
That was last week. We've moved on from that.
Yeah.
Just to make sure. I'm putting my D12 away.
Yeah. Okay, so I think when last we left our heroes, you just drilled up through the ceiling, and a female gnome with a bath towel wrapped around her head, in a bathrobe, looks down and gives a shriek as she sees you, and we establish this is, of course, Davidoff Spoonie's bathroom or wet room, and he calls off to his gnome colleagues, and between you, I think you had a rope. Is it Landris that had a rope?
Yes, I had a hempen rope.
Yeah, so he would, if you were to throw that up, he would have caught it, and then the gnomes would have been able to pull one of you up, probably one of the lighter ones. So either Thorin or Landris, and then, of course, the more of you on the other end of the rope would have been able to pull Fergus up into the bathroom. And then I imagine you probably would have maybe taken, would you have taken Davidov back down into his cellar and sort of shown him everything, I assume, to confirm that, yes, the cellar is indeed now void of any scary big rats or anything like that.
And there's an extra entrance.
Yes.
Skylight, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was dark down there. You got to get some sunlight in. Much better.
And upon seeing this, he would have indeed paid you your 35 gold pieces each. He would have located that from the sort of locker room that was, if you remember, the actual entrance to the cellar itself. I described there was kind of like a Kallax like locker system, and in one of them he's got his own, and he's able to unlock the contents from behind there, and he counts out 35 gold pieces to each of you. Of course, while this is happening, Fergus, I think you would be still in the bathroom, because the door in this bathroom is only 5 feet wide. Now, if you want, you could try and squeeze through it, or you can stay in the bathroom.
What did I roll the 1 for, by the way?
You don't need to worry about that.
Well,
because Thorin and Fergus would have gone off and probably done the tour for Davidov. You're in the bathroom. There's some nice soaps lined up. Some of them are, one of them shaped like an egg, but it smells of strawberry. Yeah.
Might have a wash while I'm there.
Yeah.
Okay, shall I try and leave? I'll try and leave.
Okay, if you make an acrobatics check to see if you can squeeze through the door.
Acrobatics. Okay.
It's going to be every time Fergus moves.
Okay, so I checked. It goes up to 20. This dice does. So
that's a good start.
And I rolled an 8, which I can add another 6 to. 14.
14. Yeah, you're able to definitely get your head, and you sort of squeeze your shoulders in. It's a bit of a hard work getting your hips through. You do have to wiggle a little bit, and you can hear the hinges on the door sort of groan in distress as you wriggle through, but you pop through, and you're sort of hunched, your head almost brushing the top of the ceiling in Davidov Spoonie's house. The other guys return having, and they, I assume, would give you your 35 gold pieces.
Yeah.
These gold coins, of course, are going to look like really tiny coins in your hands. I don't know if you guys have played the board game Nusfjord, but in the first version of Nusfjord, the coins were tiny, tiny coins, probably only about 2 or 3 millimeters wide, and in your hands they'd probably look really small and tiny like that. But the other guys, perfectly normal gold coins. Davidov says, "Oh, you're more than welcome to stay for dinner. I was gonna cook a stew infused with one of my ales, if you like."
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm on my knees. I fancy a food and beer and rest.
I do need a good rest and all.
I would like to press Davidov on whether he knew about everything that was downstairs, particularly the potions.
He says, "Over dinner. We'll chat over dinner." And he said, "And you're welcome to stay for the evening, although you, Fergus, we've got a lovely barn.
I do like
the
a barn.
horses sleep in. You're welcome to. Well, it's the straw will be very comfy. I'm certain." He heads off and shows you the house, some sleeping quarters for Thorin and Landris. And after about 1 hour, it's becoming late afternoon, early evening now, and you can smell the aroma of cooking. And after about an hour, Fergus, you start to feel a crippling sort of pain running up and down your backbone, and your shoulders sort of feel like they're about to sort of pop out of their sockets, and then suddenly you return.
Turn to normal size.
Regular Fergus.
No.
Shame.
I am so happy about this. That's good. I might need to go and see a chiropractor.
So, sure enough, there is a dining room, of course, in Davidov's house. This is annexed onto the brewery itself, and the brewery looked like it was an older building in comparison to this house, and the furniture all looks pretty decent in here. It's by no means a peasant's or commoner's house. You can tell Davidov's got a bit of cash, and he's obviously put some of it into this startup hipster brewery. But he's got fine, not like aristocracy style furniture, but nice furniture. The kind of seats in the dining room where you make sure you sort of wipe your trousers to make sure there's no sort of cobwebs or spider goo on them before you sit down. It's those kind of chairs, if you catch my drift. And Davidov is at the table. Davidov's wife is at the table, no longer with a towel on her head. She's got sort of slicked back silvery white hair. She also is a gnome, of course. And Davidov introduces his wife as Gertrude, and there is a sort of serving gnome as well, who's wearing pretty fine a butler-like clothes, who is bringing food in and out, and there's a decent spread on the table. And he notices you, Fergus. Oh, back to size, I see.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I've returned to how I should be.
Yeah, I was worried about what sort of plate to give you, whether you'd eat twice as much. But
well, I am pretty hungry.
Yeah, well, you certainly deserve it. Tuck in. There's a nice sort of classic Sunday roast on offer, and of course the beer is flowing. It's the kind that you've recognised and probably sampled earlier on in the day. And after a couple of sips, a couple of mouthfuls, Davidov clearly is a lot more relaxed. He looks like, having seen his new potential expansion, you can tell that a lot of stress has sort of been taken off his shoulders, and he's more than happy to open up and answer any questions you might have.
So I'd like to know more about what he knew about what was down there, especially Kiziger Longstaff.
Kiziger, did you say?
Yeah.
That's there's a village about a day's ride away called Little Kiziger. Do you know it? It's just down the Oakenarm Trail, about a day's drive away. The only reason I say is because I do deliveries to their inn. They buy some of our ales. Good customers. Yeah, that's called Little Kiziger. I don't go there much. It's mainly my nephew that does the deliveries over there.
What's his name?
My nephew.
Yeah.
Grubshot.
Where's he at the moment?
Oh, he's just Grubshot. He calls off to the kitchen, and the butler, Gnome, who was serving you, sort of comes in. He's the equivalent of a early 20s gnome. He's got he's got like a handlebar moustache, and it's like this part of his chin is shaved, but he's got impressive sideburns, sort of flushed cheeks, and a roundish nose. Looks pretty happy and cheerful, happy-go-lucky for a gnome. And he says, he's got a very similar voice to Darren. You can tell they're related. He says, uncle, hello. And Davido says, these fine trio wanted to make your acquaintance.
I want to ask him if he's going to be heading to town in anytime soon.
You can make an insight check.
Nine.
Okay. Grubshot has a look at his uncle. The most fleeting of glances, and he says, looking back at you, I'd be looking to go pretty soon. I just we're a bit down on manpower at the moment after the incident in the cellar. Maybe would you, if I'm always in the business for someone to ride shotgun, shall we say, or not shot? He wouldn't say shotgun. He'd say ride crossbow, shall I say?
Do you ever face danger on the road there?
Well, put it this way: I'd feel more comfortable if I had some companions. Not only that, it's a day's drive. I'd welcome the company as well.
What's in it for us?
he'd say, "Oh, well, of course, you'd have free passage along the road. You'd get there a bit quicker than walking. And hey, he gives you a wink and says, we would be transporting ale, of course."
Yeah, I'm down with that.
I'm in.
Okay, looks like we're going to Little Kizagar.
He would you'd note that I think Davidov would nod and say, "Oh, that's a splendid idea. I'm so thank Amber you came. It's fantastic." And he sort of offers his tankard up to everyone for a cheers. And he says, the Tame Cub, that's the name of the inn in Little Kizagar. The landlady there, Gwynnis, she's long been, well, for as long as I've been based here, she's been a loyal customer of the Wizard's Tower Brewery Company. So I'd be, if I tell you what, if you escort Grubshot there, and Grubshot, give him a percentage of the beer money. And they make eyes at each other as if they don't want to say that number out loud. You can tell, but they know what that means. But the two of them, without giving you an actual number.
I think we'd be willing to do it for 50-50.
Are you saying that out loud at the dinner table?
Sure am. As I stroke my two short swords and caress my giant spider fang.
I want to be clear that I as Fergus, am doing this. It's like my head in my hands, looking a bit sheepish and embarrassed about the whole thing.
Well, Landris is just drinking.
As you say 50-50 and start stroking your spider fang, Gertrude nearly spits out a spoonful of gravy.
What's up, Gertrude? Is it too hot?
She says, "No, you're." No, she doesn't sound like that. She's got a different voice. Yeah,
These gnomes all sound alike.
The hot gravy has sort of scorched her vocal cords a little bit.
Davidoff, you let your wife speak, please. She's trying to say something.
Yeah, she'd say, "My, you're a tough negotiator, aren't you? 50-50, and you wouldn't need to make an insight check. You'd see, or you'd feel like a sort of nudge under the table as you can hear, or even feel someone kicking someone under the table, and Davidov then makes a sort of face as it sounds like boot is connected with shin, and he says, "Oh, no, wait. Gertrude, you're a wise woman, a wise gnome. Thorin, 50-50. That's, come on, let's be reasonable."
Hey, Davidoff, we know your deals. Last time we went down to clear a space and we all nearly died fighting giant monsters. Do you know what was in your cellar?
Well, I've seen the mess you've left it in. Yeah. I must admit, I if I'd known that was down there, I might have suggested, contacting. Well, maybe, he wouldn't. You hear him almost say the word professionals, but he stops himself just at the last minute.
Hey, there was a giant spider down there. I raised the giant spider fang. And it had run out of food. This thing was coming up to eat you and all of your workers if it wasn't for us.
Are you trying to intimidate him, or are you trying to persuade him, or?
I'm just stating the facts to persuade him to offer us a fair trade, because I feel like there's some shenanigans on the path to Little Kizagar coming our way.
Make a persuasion check.
7, 8.
You feel under the table someone's boot kick you in the shin, and someone says, "Oh, sorry, that wasn't meant for you." He says, "No, look, let's be reasonable. I'm a businessman. I'm always happy to negotiate, but you know, I'm giving you free board, filling your bellies. You've got a crate of Landris. You know, you're gonna have some booze on the road tomorrow. A free ride. We'll give you. I'll say. We'll say 25%.
We'll happily accept your offer. I apologise for my friend.
He's very, very quick to offer a hand to you, Fergus, to shake.
Yes, which I accept.
Yeah.
Quickly.
And he relaxes again. You can notice he's the kind of guy that clearly likes to get deals. He is a businessman. He's not a fighter. I think if you had pushed him, who knows? But he says, so you said Kizagar, what was the surname? Longstaff, did you say?
Longstaff, yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. And I think you guys might have done a history check on this during the one shot. Was it Jim? Thorin, sorry, did you do a history check? See if you recognise that surname.
I think Landris recognised it from his army days.
I think Landris recognised the name of the Knights of the Setting Sun, who there was a receipt signed from them.
Yeah, I got a receipt from Sir Quint for Longstaff, and it would link to the Baron as well.
Yeah.
I don't think I history checked the name.
No. But I think you were. I think I didn't even make you do a history check for it. I think I just said that because of your background being a military man, a soldier, I think you would know of the Knights of the Setting Sun, who are indeed a sort of the Baron's muscle, shall we say?
They're a militia.
And I'm struggling to remember if Thorin did indeed do a history check, but I think you did, because one of the languages you speak is Elvish, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember we did now. Yeah.
Yeah, and you established that the Longstaffs are a fairly famous line of high elves, and the elves live for a long time in D&D. I know that's quite tough to sort of wrap your head around, because you imagine a lifespan in comparison to a human. Well, elves, I think, can live to, like, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of years. So in terms of generations, they might not be as many generations back as compared to, say, humans or halflings or dwarves. But you'd know that their line goes back to them having been sort of almost war heroes back in the day. Again, Landris might recognise the name Longstaff, maybe not from, like, lodged in the back of his mind subliminally somewhere. You might have heard that the Longstaffs were the opinion of people's opinion of them is that they were on the winning side of this big war a few years ago. The winning side, and also the side that was seen to be the goodies, the good side. So you'd have a positive, probably, opinion of the name Longstaff rather than an evil, negative opinion of it. With regards to the village, Little Kizagar, I think, Thorin, you said you were based up in the mountains, so I don't think you'd know of this village. Fergus, you were based up north near, was it Boulder's Butt?
East of Boulder's Butt.
Yeah, that being a sort of cluster of hills or
Well,
north of here. And Landris, did you establish where you were sort of from?
I don't think he really had a base of. I think it was just a case of as he grew up, he just took jobs where he could.
Sure. Well, there certainly is a military presence in Duskolovich. So I think you probably would have been familiar with that. And that's a sort of city. That is the almost sort of, I mean, you're in the barony of Duskolovich at the minute. And of course, that is the big town, the city. So you're on the very sort of edge of that barony at the moment. So you might have heard, I mean, it's a village. It's, it's nothing to, it's no big, massive fort or settlement like that. It's a village along a trade route. So you might have heard of it, but yeah. Yeah. Do you have any other questions for the Spoonies?
What do you know about the all those potions that were down there?
Well, I'll be certainly going down there to see if there's anything left I can sample. I'm always in the market for a new recipe. Did you? I mean, I'm guessing 1 minute Fergus, the next minute Fergus. Did you? I'm guessing Did you sample some yourself?
I'd recommend staying clear of the green stuff.
All right. What did that do?
Well, I just didn't like the taste.
It's worth me just reminding you. I'm sure you haven't forgotten, Jim, but you, I think, got a.
I've got Essence of Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm keeping.
And I think Fergus has a little bit left of his Essence of Growth, which we've already seen.
I don't want to tell Davidoff that I've got anything that we acquired down there.
No, sure. That's yeah. He'd say as he was wandering around down there, he was genuinely surprised to see this stuff, and he says, "Look, I bought this place on the cheap. It was, I dealt with this noble guy, this knight, who was very keen to sell it. I'm a businessman. It was a deal too good to turn down."
How long did you buy it?
Sorry, who?
Go on, Fergus.
What was his name?
Well, his name was Sir Rudiger.
And when was this that you bought it?
Oh, probably about just under a year ago.
Do you know what it was? Do you know what it was before you turned it into a brewery?
Well, there was some circular sort of structure, and it just described with his hands, and he's had a few drinks now. His voice is starting to slur a little bit, and it'd say there was some foundations but crumbling in spots, but I've managed to get some workforce in, and we built over this. The big barn, which you saw, is now the brewery, and then the second barn is where we had stored some of our vehicles and such, and then we built the place you see now.
Okay. Is there an exit down there, Davidoff? Is there another way out?
Another way out?
Down the bottom, out the back, in the cellar.
Well, there's yeah. I don't show anyone around the back because it's still a bit of a work in progress, shall we say, a fixer-upper. There's bits of rubble all over the place.
Okay. So
it was pretty much the foundations of something circular was here, and they said it. The guy that sold it to me said it was some sort of some sort of tower, some sort of, I don't know, wizard's tower. You hear these stories, but I thought that's a good name for a brewing company.
What do we know about this? What's his name? Rudiger.
Landris, make a history check.
What's my history? 15 plus 1, 16.
16. Yeah, that's pretty good. Your ears prick up when you hear the sound of him saying, Sir Rudiger, this is you'd know this is a knight of the setting sun. You'd know that this guy is a half-orc. He is based in Duskolovich. You'd know he's known to take shortcuts, quick. I don't know how many loyal soldiers Landris might have known back in the day, or how corrupt his sort of colleagues may have been, or whether indeed Landris was open to, turning a blind eye on occasion. But you'd know that Sir Rudiger didn't get his Sir through doing noble deeds. It was probably by maybe about what he didn't do. If
want to turn a blind eye.
If you catch my drift, yeah. There's certainly you'd know that there's certainly a hierarchy within the Knights of the Setting Sun underneath the current Baron of Duskolovich, and well, I suppose the phrase "nice guys finish last" is probably a sort of
it's their mantra.
Yeah, well, it's not. It's probably a grim joke that people sort of say about that company of knights. So as soon as you heard the name Sir Rudiger, you probably wouldn't be surprised. Okay, well, he wanted to sell this place on the cheap.
Yeah, there's no wonder.
That might not sound an accusation to you. You'd happily accept that.
Yeah, there's no wonder it was full of monsters. It sort of makes sense within itself, doesn't it?
So do we want to have a chat with Davidoff about the note we found from Kizagar saying that he's been taken by the knights, and ask him about that?
I feel the less he knows about that, the better, just on the basis that he seems quite jittery. And that if somebody does come and ask questions after, he is likely to tell them on the basis of, I don't want these people in my house, I want the deal done and got rid of.
Yeah, okay. Should we...
you haven't told him anything of that yet.
No, I don't think we should. What do you think, Fergus? Should we keep it quiet from him?
Obviously, This is kind of like...
we're having a hushed conversation whilst his...
Yeah, they may have gone like into the kitchen to bring out dessert or something and left you, and you're at the table quickly chatting. Of course, I know you guys are still sort of this is new for many of you guys, quite literally D&D. Technically it's a meta conversation. You're having a conversation outside of the game, but that's totally okay. But yeah. It's up to you whether you want to tell them or not.
What do you reckon, Fergus? They're coming back quick.
No, let's not bother. I think I might go sleep in the barn anyway.
One quick question that I want to ask you before you maybe retire for the evening. Did you clean up the 2 potions that were indeed spilt on the floor? Growth and fire. I know you tried to get as much as you could into a file each.
Yeah, no, we didn't think about that sort of thing.
No, I was just happy to use the drill and get out.
Like I said, I'm gonna go sleep in the barn.
Oh, but why would you want to sleep in the barn, Fergus? I've got a perfectly halfling-sized room for you now.
I'm when I was a monk, we slept on hay to show our part of our not having possessions, and to show our humility and oneness with nature. So if you don't mind, I need some time to meditate by myself anyway.
Oh yeah. That's, you do what you got to do.
I think I'm going to recommend to Davidoff that he puts a few of his guys on the door to the base just in case.
Why? You've clearly cleared it out.
Well, you can never be too careful, because we've had a long fight and we need some rest.
That's very true. Grubshot. And he sort of calls to his nephew and tells him to liaise with some of the other gnomes to check out and maybe just do a sweep patrol every so often. So do you guys want to turn in for the night?
Yeah. Is that how health back?
Yeah, so what so this would be the first time you guys would have had a long rest, and traditionally that is you going to sleep for the night. It's an 8-hour so do you remember you had a short rest earlier when I think you took a rest after the giant rat fight? That was 1 hour. That's a short rest. A long rest is 8 hours. And what this does is it means you regain all of your hit points back.
Oh, nice.
If you had spent any hit dice, you get half of those hit dice back, a minimum of 1. So let me see. Fergus and Landris, I think, spent a hit dice.
Yeah.
So you've now got that back.
Yeah.
Thorin, I don't think you spent any hit dice, so you're as you were. If you were a spellcaster, none of you are at the moment, you would regain all of your spell slots back. But you don't need to worry about that right now because none of you are spellcasters. And let me see, is there anything else after a long rest? I don't think so. Fergus, you're asleep in the barn. Could you roll a D12 for me, please? That's the dice I think you put over there.
Go and get it. Don't know where. Hey. All right. 12.
You rolled a 12. Okay.
No, I'm not rolled it yet. Wait.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting excited. 10.
10. Okay.
That's how many rats are going to come and get me.
We'll come back to you in a minute. Landris and Thorin, are you? You're sharing a room. There's 2.
Top and tail.
There's. Hang on. There are 2 beds. I rolled a dice to check. There are 2 beds. The window. There is a window in this room, and it's facing towards, sort of above. I described the sort of being like an L shape. The annex at the end. Your the window of this. You're in the upstairs, and it overlooks the spot where that wagon is. Where you first approach the first wagon. You can see down into there. Could both of you roll a D12 for me, please?
Okie dokie.
12.
7.
5, 7. You both have a lovely night's sleep.
Oh.
You're pretty exhausted. As soon as your head hits the pillow, you're out.
We earned it.
So you're sleeping on straw. I don't know if you were genuinely telling the truth when you did sleep on straw as a monk. Was that something you did?
Yeah, it was just part of the humility thing, and straw is pretty comfortable. It's it's a known material for sleeping on in medieval times.
Absolutely.
That's
It's not the most comfy night's sleep you've ever had, but I don't know if your times in the monastery genuinely were quite
they weren't comfortable.
They weren't luxurious, so you're probably used to this.
No, very simple, simple life. Very good
Yeah.
food, good beer, but very simple.
Yeah. You at one point you do wake up in the middle of the night, and there is a soft sort of in the barn. There is a horse in here with you as well.
Like it.
Don't worry, you don't wake up and the horse isn't spooning you or anything like that. But you do hear a sort of a little rustle, and as you open your eyes, sort of half asleep, what? You do sort of see something small and grey that looks like a rat sort of just scuttle across the length of the barn, and it sort of as the horse sort of makes a noise, and then it's kind of and then disappears. You are probably one of the first to awake when, sure enough, dawn, the dawn rays. You can feel the warmth, and yes, it's morning. All of you are back to full hit points. You've got your hit dice. It's the next morning, and when you wake up, all of you guys looking in the bedroom if you sort of open the windows, you would see that sure enough there are some of the gnomes who are struggling to load some of the barrels onto that wagon, and Grubshot comes into the barn, and he sort of sees you asleep, or maybe just waking up Fergus. He says, good morning, and he says to the horse, come on, and sort of tries to take it out of the barn and attach it to the wagon.
Okay, so he's trying, but he's not succeeding to get the horse out.
No, he manages to do it.
Okay.
But it definitely wakes you up, is the point.
Yeah.
It's not like the most subtle tiptoeing. It's kind of a crisp pre-spring morning, if that makes sense. There's probably you wouldn't be able to see your own breath, but it's certainly crisp, shall we say. And the sky's a little bit grey this morning.
Okay. When we looked out the window and we saw the gnomes loading the barrels on, were they struggling a bit?
Yeah, they were.
I'm going to go down and offer to help them, because we're obviously much bigger than them, and we want to get moving and give them a hand.
You can smell eggs being cooked for a breakfast, and Davidov, you'd probably see Davidov bustling around as well, preparing the delivery, and he makes sure you get something to eat before you go. But yeah, if you want to try and help with the barrels, make an athletics check to see if you actually can help with the barrels.
14.
14, yeah. Together with a couple of gnomes and Grubshot, who goes beetroot in the face when he tries to lift. He's lifting with his back, not his knees. You're able to load up some of these barrels. They're some of the ones that and they've all got the names sort of branded on the side. Wizard's Whisper, Spoony Sip, Manticore's Crackdown. You can see at one point Davidov comes up to Landris and he says, as promised, and he pats a barrel, and he says, I was wondering if you wanted the honours, and he offers you a sort of what looks like a cattle brand, and it's got he's sort of bent it into the shape of an L.
That's amazing. I'm going to look at it and almost like I've got quite a teary look in my face. Like, this is the pinnacle of everything I've done.
Yeah. He's got.
Can I, at this point, shake my head and just be like, and just go inside to get some eggs?
Yeah, sure. You'd be able to get a lovely portion of breakfast. Landris.
Whilst this is going on, I'm going to grab one of the other gnomes. I'm going to grab the smallest, feeblest looking one. I'm going to pull him round the back of.
That'd be Grubshot. Another one.
One of the absolute minions.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pull him round the back of the trailer where Grubshot and Davidoff can't see. And I'm going to pull him really close. I'm going to hold him like this, and I'm going to whisper in him, and I'm going to say, "You've got to tell us the sort of things that you see on the trails here. I want to know what sort of things you see, and I'm going to try and intimidate him to get some information."
Sure thing.
You're ruining my moment, guys.
No, you don't even know this is going on.
We'll come back to Thorin in a bit, because technically you've sort of split the party. You've gone in 3 different directions. Fergus is having a lovely scrambled eggs on toast. You're scaring some poor apprentice. Landris, we'll go back to you because you've got this barrel. Davidoff hands you this sort of branding iron. It's still and these 2 big leather sort of gloves. He says, "It's that's part of the deal's a deal. I'll give you the honours."
You're a gnome of your word. I'm going to stick the gloves on. I'm just going to brand it, and I'm not going to stop branding it. It's just going to be a constant burn as that sizzle hits that wood.
Make a sleight of hand check to see.
This is going to go bad.
To see how accurate you are with this pattern.
Okay. Oh, 20.
Is that a dirty 20 or a natural?
Nope. It's a 20, but then I get -1, so it's 19, but I rolled the 20.
No, natural 20. It's perfect. It looks. He says, "Oh, I don't suppose I could interest you in doing some of the other brands. Grubshot's an absolute terrible at doing these. That Wizard's Whisper. Oh, well, it looks like it could be Wizard's sister. It's it looks like a really professional brand, like the sort of thing. If you were to see that in a really fancy sort of inn or tavern, that's top shelf ale. That looks like it's good
As
stuff.
It should be. I have got a legacy now. This is it.
And he calls over a couple of the gnomes, and together you carefully and carry that onto the wagon. Meanwhile, just out of sight, Thorin is he's got someone by the scruff of the collar, and he's roll an intimidation check, Thorin.
14.
He would say, look, he's got a different voice. Come on, let's give him a different voice. He would say, look, I don't know much about the trail. It's obviously a big old trading route. You'll probably see other people along that route, sir. But it's not the sort of road you'd travel alone on. It might be some you'll be traveling through the woods for part of it, through the Bear Brave Woods, and no one travels through the woods on their own.
Okay, I'm going to thank him. I'm going to thank him, and I'm going to give him a silver piece and then put him back down on his feet.
He would say, "Oh, thank you. You're a true gentleman."
Right, I'm going to jump up on the trailer and sit there impatiently, ready to go.
And I walk it back outside. I hop up because I'm a bit small. I can't get all the way up, So I hop up onto the barrel of Landris first.
Yeah, it looks
and
pretty good.
I then up onto the wagon.
Yeah.
And sit there, finishing off my plate of eggs.
So are you riding crossbow then?
I'm on the back of the wagon, so.
Sure. Okay.
I'm guessing that Landris hasn't been loaded on quite yet. So basically, he's done the branding,
Sure.
and I'm there just not even like paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah. So Grubshot says, "Oh, are you? It looks like you're going to drive then." Appreciate it, and if you ever get the chance to spread the word about my good ales, I'd greatly appreciate it.
And I say thank you and hand him my empty plate.
Yeah. He's not really sure what to do with this. I think he's used to probably Grubshot sort of dealing with the washing up. He gives it to one of his employers and says, "Oh, do something with this. Probably the kitchen, I suppose." And he says, "Well, toodle pip." And Grubshot clicks his teeth, and the cart trundles off down the little driveway, and then suddenly you're on the main this sort of 20-foot wide road. It's not cobbled or anything like that. It's a worn track, but it's a noticeable road. And you guys would know that this is part of the Oaken Arm Trail, which is a sort of meandering but fairly south to north road. If you were to go along this road south long enough, and I'm talking, quite a few days worth of travel, maybe even weeks worth of travel, you'd eventually reach the capital city of Vicini, which is called Eagle's Reach. I think all of you would have heard of Eagle's Reach. I don't know if any of you would have been there. That's totally up to you guys with your backstory, if you thought you would have been there or not. Eagle's Reach, if you think of, hey, we're all based in the UK, right? So if you think of Eagle's Reach like London, it's a bubbling pot of different cultures and a real sort of hub for trade and history and all sorts of things like that. Everyone's heard of London, but not everyone might have been there or might be familiar with it.
I've definitely been there. In fact, I in my previous life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was based there.
You were once a criminal after all, and like any big city, you'd know that, if you know the right people in Eagle's Reach, you could definitely not only liaise with them, but also stealing from the right people. Landris, if you had been there before, you'd know that, of course, there is a massive army and military presence there. Thorin, I'm not sure if you would have been there if your background is sort of Outlander, because I think you probably would have been more of a...
I've been in very few towns or cities before. This whole thing is very foreign to me. I'm very edgy and I'm skittish the whole time. I think everyone's an enemy.
I think you would have... you'd know of Eagle's Reach, of course, because you might have heard it in passing conversation, but I don't think you would... Yeah, I don't even know if you've been to somewhere like Duskolovich before.
I'm not.
But yeah, anyway, that's way down. You're on this road. The wagon that you're sort of on is wide enough for two of you to sit on, and of course it's got a bunch of beer barrels on the back, so it's probably taking up maybe just under half the width of this road. So another wagon could, of course, pass you the other direction.
Was it just
And sorry, did you?
Is it just the four of us?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. You at the minute you're slightly elevated. It's a little bit hilly around here, and you can see very close to the brewery that there are indeed trees and a sort of woodland area. And you've heard that dwarf tell you about the Bear Brave Woods, and I think you've I don't know if you had I can't remember if I showed you the map or not that I'd drawn you. This is, of course, I'd shown you this offline rather than in the actual one shot itself. But for context, the Bear Brave Woods spans across the horizon, but you're a little bit elevated at the minute, and you can see that you're going down out. You're leaving this sort of hilly area, and you're sort of going down into the forest itself. The trees aren't massively tall, but they're certainly tall enough to cast a canopy sort of over you. Not to the point where sunlight can't penetrate, but definitely to the point where it's dappled. And it's probably, by the time you eventually had loaded the wagon and left, it's probably about 9 a.m. And yes, so the Oakenarm Trail leads down into the wooded area, and you can now sort of you can't really hear. Well, now you can just hear the sound of the woods. There's the rustle of branches creaking, and the sky. Who's up front? It's Thorin. Thorin, roll a d12 for me.
5.
5. Okay. After a little bit, about half an hour, you can see the sky darken a little bit, and it noticeably drops a couple of degrees in terms of temperature. It feels a little bit chilly. It looks like it might rain. And sure enough, within the next half an hour, it does start a light sort of pitter-patter rain. And you're getting a bit wet, all of you. At one point, another wagon passes you the other direction. It appears to be a merchant of some sort, a human merchant, and on the back of their wagon is a load of wooden furniture. Looks quite nice, similar sort of quality, to the furniture that you saw in Davidov's house. And Grubshot sort of gives him a polite nod and a wave, and the merchant nods back. And now, could I ask Landris, could you roll a d12 for me, please? So, Landris, you rolled a 10, right?
I did.
The rain starts to come down a lot heavier, and you can see it pinging off the road surface as you're facing. You've got your back to Grubshot and to Thorin, right? So you and Fergus are looking out the back. So you can see that now, as the rain is coming down, it's starting to form little puddles that are soaking into the road, and the road's chopping up a little bit. You can see the wagon tracks, behind you in the road. And Grubshot turns to Thorin, making conversation, and he says, "So I suppose you know how to use that." I'm trying to make his voice a little bit different.
So I suppose you know Aaron after a year in Holland.
I suppose you know how to use that crossbow.
Sure do.
Caressing it.
I am. I'm eager to fire and maybe catch us some dinner.
Oh, well, keep an eye out on the skies. There might be some, birds or something like that.
What kind of birds would you eat?
Maybe some pheasant.
Okay, I've got my sights set on maybe a deer when we get to the forests.
You'd see some birds flying around. Nothing too big. Maybe a couple of crows, or kind of. I don't want to say a murmuration of starlings, because I don't think you'd see that. Just that's a bit extreme. But that's all you do see. Some birds flying around, and Fergus, roll a d12. 3. You hear a rumble of thunder, and shortly followed by a crack of lightning, and then it's like a monsoon just drops. And after about 30 seconds, you guys are having to almost shout at each other to hear each other. It's that sort of the rain is coming down so loud, and the horse, Thorin, you'd suddenly notice is slowing down. It's straining, and Fergus and Landris, you'd notice that the grooves that the wagon is leaving behind in the road are getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and your vehicle is getting slower and slower and slower.
Right. Maybe we should, and I say to Thorin, maybe we should lighten the load and jump off.
Yeah, let's walk alongside for a bit.
Yeah. Sure thing. So if you jump off, it does. As you jump off, splash, your boots, sort of land in this wet, thick mud, and I
don't wear shoes anyway.
Yeah. Well, your poor little halfling ankles are suddenly up to your ankles in mud, and it's kind of like a trying to pull them, walking through a quite thick mud, and then suddenly you'd notice, even though you've come off the wagon is stuck, and you hear Davidov swear in Gnomish. Do any of you speak Gnomish?
No.
Just as well. This is a family show. And he too jumps off the wagon, and he sort of strokes the horse, and then sort of waddles over to you guys, and he says, "I think we're going to have to push."
Is this Sean Connery?
Just thinking that.
Yes.
How far have we travelled?
Scotland.
You've travelled about 3 hours.
And how far have we got to go?
Davidov would tell you.
Davidov's not with us, right?
Sorry. Grubshot would tell you. At this rate, we won't get there today.
Okay.
Let's push.
He is now Sean Connery, or a very bad impression of Sean Connery.
Should we see if there's an appropriate place to tether the horse and make shelter then?
Does that mean we're gonna leave all this beer? I mean, yeah. I say that in my mind. I'm like, it's not my beer.
Yeah. We can take it in turns to stay up and stay guard.
Yeah, we'll do it in. We'll just take turns. It'll be fine.
I think if the three of you were to persuade Davidoff, then that's three of you and one of him. Not Davidoff, Grubshot. He would say he is younger. That's a good question. He's sort of like I said, early 20s for a gnome. How old are your characters?
I'm 55.
Dwarves. Oh wow, dwarves can live for up to 350 years.
Oh wow, okay. I'm a kid.
Landris.
I'm about mid-30s.
Okay. And Fergus. Let me check. How old are halflings?
I'm also 55. So.
Oh, so you're in the same school year as
Yeah.
As Thorin.
So I've had a good life, but I've still got the majority of my life ahead of me. I live into it. And I'd be expected to make it into my 100, to be 100 or more.
Oh yeah. Halflings can live into the middle of their second century, so about 150 years. So yeah. So in theory, all of you are probably similar age to Grubshot. Hence, probably why you like your booze and your sort of carefree mercenary philosophy.
What do you think?
So,
Should we go ahead and
to you, and he says, "So, what you reckon? We just wait the storm out then?"
Yeah, we can't push all the way, can we? It'd be knackering. Let's just crack open one of these barrels.
You read my mind. I don't know why I'm looking over my shoulder. Uncle's miles away. Why don't we? What's that Landris like?
Don't know. I'm not the expert here. I just named it.
Should we crack it open?
Yeah, I reckon. Let's give it a go.
Ah, excellent.
Can we open it properly this time rather than just punching it open?
It wouldn't be Landris if we didn't punch it open.
There's a trick to this, and Grubshot does a sort of maneuver where he's able to open the barrel without physically punching a hole in it or headbutting it or whatever it is that you did to the previous one. And there are some tankards here as well, and he passes some out. And he says, "Oh, it should probably be you, Landris, that first sip."
I'll do it, but I can't pass judgment because I'll drink it too quick, and I do effectively just down it. Doesn't even touch the sides.
Yeah, so you guys can. So are you guys sitting on the wagon, or do you want to sit off the road? There's trees quite close nearby that sort of flank the road, because you're sort of this road is sort of going through the woods. It's as though this path was probably have been eroded over many generations, and to become this sort of trade route. So, but the trees, flank the path by about 20 feet. I want to
find somewhere that's a bit more out of the rain, but still has view of the cart.
Yeah, sure. There is there's certainly a couple of trees that are there. If you look at them, the buds are just about to burst in about a couple of weeks' time, when spring is truly on us. The canopy would probably give you a lot more shelter, but at the minute the trees are bare. Some of them already have started to prematurely show some greenery to them, and there might even be the odd evergreen tree in there. There's certainly different types of tree here. It isn't just one type of tree. There's a whole bunch. Yes, there'd probably be some evergreens in there if you wanted to sort of huddle under there and have a drink or something.
Yeah, I reckon we, just before we take the horse off the trailer, we'll push it off the road a bit, just so it's out of the way and not as obvious a threat to anyone who might fancy a little sniff during the night.
So you want to try and push the wagon, maybe, I don't know, a couple of feet.
Just off the road.
Yeah, just slide to the side.
Sure.
And then also so it's not sinking deeper into the mud over the...
Yeah, at the minute it's not moving because the mud is just too much. So make a... if all of you make a athletics check, all three of you, and I'll roll for grub shot.
18.
11.
12 in total.
Yeah, you're all able to push. Grubshot's, really putting his back into it. I think he's keen to try, and he's already been impressed with you guys, that the fact that you're happy to let him have some of your beer. He's keen to impress, and you push, you strain, you're able to push the cart maybe 5 feet towards the edge of the road. And can I ask you all to make a second roll for me, please? Could you all make a perception check for me, please?
7.
16 total.
4.
4. Fergus and Thorin, you are so intent on pushing. You are focused on, your nose is literally on the back of the wagon as you're pushing. But Landris, you're pushing, but at the same time you hear a rustle of the branches sort of move somewhere above you, and it's not because of the rain that's made these branches move. In it you can see a flash of purple sort of scuttle along the branch above you, and as you crane your neck to follow, you then see a flash of green and 2 black sort of two black eyes, kind of like a shark's eyes that have no don't really have any. It's like one big massive pupil. And you can see that this is some sort of hunched over green creature, and it's got a sort of belt going across its shoulder like this, and attached to it is a bunch of tiny silver knives, and it pulls out one of the knives, says something in a language you don't understand, and everybody roll for initiative.
8.
Yeah, so that's 6 in total.
So did you roll a 2?
Yes, I did.
Okay, you got a 6.
I wasn't looking. It's thematic, makes thematic sense.
Yeah, it does.
Not looking.
Fergus. And Thorin, what did you get?
8.
8. Wow.
He wasn't looking either.
I was looking. I have no excuse.
I think you're so surprised, Landris, by what you saw that you didn't really have time to properly react. And let me see. So we have Fergus over here. We've got Thorin at the back with Landris, And then we've got Grubshot here. I realise you haven't seen Grubshot yet. There he is. Little Grubshot.
Where's the horse?
The horse. I don't have a horse mini. Let's use. Let's use. We'll use this as a horse mini for now. Where did you put the horse?
It's not Cinderella.
Yeah, this is just a big pumpkin. Where did you put the horse?
We've tethered it.
Before the cart.
Yeah, by that tree in front of the cart.
This tree here?
Yeah, just there.
Okay, the horse is just here. The horse is just chewing on grass, not really paying any attention.
On the right-hand side of the road here, then.
Oh well, yeah, you're in Vicini now. Landris, you saw above you a flash of purple in the trees above you. Now, just for context, this is a 5x5 tree. You see the little brown bit? That represents the trunk if you're looking down from a bird's eye point of view. And likewise, some of these bigger ones are bigger trees, and there's probably I don't know if you can see, that's a big tree over here. You saw and these trees, of course, aren't in full bloom, but it's easier for you to see that they're all green, right? So you can imagine that their branches are sort of splayed and above you, probably 8 to 15 feet above you. And you can see above you, you saw a flash of purple, and it looks a bit like this. It is like some sort of black-eyed lizard-like frog thing, the size of Fergus, the size of Grubshot, and it's got sort of weird black tribal tattoos on it, and it's in the tree up here above you. And the green thing you saw is another one, a green one, and this one is in this tree here. Can you see all of that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Where's Raphael and Donatello?
Well, they did roll higher than all of you, which wasn't difficult because I think you rolled an 8. So there is a third one. And the third one is over here. You can hear them make some sort of guttural lizard-like croaking noise, communicating to each other. And this purple one here is going to go first. And let me see here. It's got a bunch of these daggers sort of across its belt. And what it does is it takes one of them off of the belt and sort of wipes it against its own skin. Its skin is kind of oily and it's wet anyway because of the rain, but it wipes it against its skin.
No, I don't want to get poisoned again.
And it stood almost above Grubshot, and it sort of flicks the dart down. Not the dart, sorry, the dagger at Grubshot. And it rolls. Oh, wow. The dart misses but thunks into the wooden wagon itself, and Grubshot makes a small yelp as as I don't know how Sean Connery would yelp, but it's a miss, and it moves, sort of scuttles its way across the branches of the tree as if it was some sort of with the nimbleness of a squirrel, and moves to here. And Grubshot tries to follow its line of sight as this purple thing is moving in the tree above it. This one here has a bunch of daggers as well, and it again pulls a dagger out from its belt and wipes it against the against its skin like this, and then flicks it straight across at Landris. And that is a plus that. That is a 16.
That is my armor class.
That is a hit. It finds a point where you were straining, pushing the wagon, or maybe because you were sort of last in initiative, you've let your guard down, and it finds a little spot where this knife can penetrate, and you take 4 points of piercing damage. Ooh. As you feel this blade bite into your skin, and then you feel a burning sensation. Can you make a Constitution saving throw for me, please?
Oh, hello.
That's a 20, isn't it?
Yeah, D20.
That is a 15 plus 3, 18.
You feel the burning sensation, but you're able to find some inner strength within and push it to the back of your mind.
It's not sounding good.
It is then this one's turn. And this one croaks across the road. And Fergus, you can hear this thing. And it too has a bunch of knives across its chest, but instead on its back it's also got a bunch of rope that's sort of been, or it's not rope, it's kind of like vines that looks like it's been sort of woven and stitched together to make itself into a net of some sorts. And it pulls this net off of its back and sort of spreads it out and throws it in your direction. 18.
Right, my armor's 17.
Okay.
If armor isn't being caught in a net.
So this thing, this net lands on you, and you are now restrained. So this is the similar situation to Thorin being in that spider webbing. This is not on fire, but you are just restrained in this net. It jumps down out of the tree, dunk, and lands next to you, and sort of makes a sort of croak at you in celebration. Thorin, it's your turn.
I'm going to draw my longbow, and I'm going to take aim from where I am at the one next to Fergus. And,
this one, yeah?
Yeah, and try and shoot it straight in the head.
Okay. That's a D20.
15.
You hit this thing.
Right, roll my D8. 5 plus 3, 8.
8. You hit this thing and you catch it in the shoulder and it spins around. You've definitely dealt a decent amount of damage to this thing, and even though its eyes are black and soulless, you can see some sort of emotion of surprise in them. Any movement for you?
I'm going to take one step back towards you.
This way.
Yeah, so I've got a better angle on the other guy next time.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I think you'd know there's some attacker over here because I think you would have seen Landris react as he got hit with the with a dagger. Fergus, it's your turn. You're currently restrained.
Right.
You have some options, just to remind you what they are. If you want, you can try to attack that creature in front of you, but it would be with disadvantage. Or you can try and use a strength check to try and burst out of that net. Or you can try and attack the net itself to sort of, cut your way out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that I'm just kind of keeping calm. I'm just gonna find the way out of this netting.
Sure. So that would be a strength check. So make a strength saving throw. That's a D20.
Yeah.
And you add your strength saving throw modifier to it.
$11.
11. Yep, you're able to sort of use your sheer willpower, strength, and monk training, where you might have found yourself in tight spots before, to burst out of this netting. It falls to the floor, and you're now able to move. But that is your action. Do you want to move?
I'll move just one up so I'm closer to the front of the cart.
Yep. Up to here.
Yeah.
Cool. You're still in its melee range, so that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Next up, it is Grubshot's turn. Grubshot moves forward 5 feet and leans under the seat of the wagon here, and he pulls out a crossbow. And he says, what would he say? He says, "Oh, you froggy git," and he fires off a bolt. Is gonna be, that is a hit. Crossbow. Okay, and he was aiming at the purple one that's up in the tree above him. Grubshot. That's a hit. He deals. He manages to hit this thing for some damage. I can't tell you what, but he has hit this thing. He stays where he is in a position to attack. And after that, it is Landris.
Okay. The purple and green one next to it are up in the trees, aren't they?
They are, yes.
So I would assume they'd be out of Landris's range, and he'd see, or he'd hear the kerfuffle between Fergus and whatever may be around there. Great sword drawn.
Sure thing. Up to say here?
I think he'd have the sense to get out of Thorin's way.
Sure, here?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
you see a torn net on the floor here?
Yeah, and I would go for a melee attack.
Okie dokie.
+4. That is 19 + 4, 23.
That's definitely a hit.
Sweet. And then with that, it is 2d6 + 2. 1 and 6, and 2 is 7, 8, 9.
9. Absolutely. You splash your way across the road and absolutely hack this thing down. It falls over in a heap and its eyes close. I'll just flip it upside down for now. Any more movement for you?
I think I'd then have the sense to get out of the eye line of the other one, so I'd probably stand next to Fergus, just because I've taken a hit on the basis.
You're going to move this way?
The other way, next to Fergus.
Oh, sorry, this way.
Yeah, that's it.
Sure. Okay. Cool. After Landris, it's back to these guys. This one has just been hit from a crossbow down here, and it pulls another. Actually, no. This time it's got a net on its back as well, and it tries to throw the net down, and the net lands on top of Grubshot, and he goes, "Oh no, not the net!" And then this one moves across the tree above him like this, and then it's this one's turn, and it jumps like this across here, and it uses its knife, wipes it across its oily skin, and it rolls. Wow! It throws its knife and it hits Grubshot. And Grubshot, I think, Thorin, you might just be able to see him. You see Grubshot fall over. He's down and he's in a net. You then hear another sort of noise come from you'd hear it come from over here, I think. And then this thing jumps from tree to tree to here. Actually, no, sorry. It climbs down and then moves across to here. So that would be along here. So it was up in this tree. It's climbed down and then ran across to here, and it's going to. It can see one of its companions on the floor here, and it throws a. It has a dagger, and I'll roll a dice to see which one of you two it decides to aim for. Okay. It aims at the nearest thing to it, which is Fergus, and it throws. That is a 19.
Yeah, that beats my armor.
You feel the dagger penetrate you for 3 points of piercing damage.
Okay.
And could you please make a Constitution saving throw?
2.
We've found your weakness, and it is indeed poison.
Apparently, it's all Constitution saving throws.
Have you got an inspiration?
Oh, I do.
You got the inspiration for deciding to drill upwards, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
You did, yeah. That was given to Fergus off screen.
Also, have lucky. You roll one attack, roll ability check, or saving throw. So I'm going to use lucky now.
Did you roll a 1 on that?
Yeah, so then I added a 1.
Oh, in which case, yeah, absolutely. You get to roll. Don't spend your inspiration.
No,
lucky is a halfling trait, which means you just get to re-roll a d20 if you roll a 1 anyway. So yeah, roll again.
I will do that. Yeah, that's what I forgot about in the last.
Well
round.
remembered. Sorry, I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, I think that's how I ended up unconscious last time.
Yeah.
I then forgot. 13 plus 1, 14.
14. For a minute, you felt the poison about to enter your bloodstream, but at the last minute you managed to put your
I poured some Landris on it.
yeah, and then suddenly
What's the poison?
I think the Landris is like some sort of really super intense alcohol that cleans the wound, and you managed to avoid any serious poison damage. Wow, that is a very good use of lucky, which is very fortunate. It is okay. So this one's had its turn. This one's had its turn. This one has had its turn. It is now Thorin's turn.
Okay, I'm going to, with my longbow, go for the purple one on the top right. Yeah, I feel like he's the leader, and I want to try and get him.
So from where you're currently stood, can you see that this tree here, trunk, from where you're currently stood, this thing has got half cover. And what that means is this tree trunk is sort of semi-protecting the eye line that you currently have between you and this creature. What that means is if something's got half cover, it means their armor class gets a boost of +2. Mm-hmm. So normally these things have an armor class of X, but if it's got half cover, its armor class is now X +2. Does that make sense?
Got it. Yeah.
You could, of course, move to a position where you've got a cleaner shot.
Okay, where would that be?
So, for example, I hope you can see this on the screen here. If, for example, you were to move to, if you see the tree here, the tree trunk, at the minute, your line of sight, this tree trunk is partly in the way. But if you were to move, say, 5, 10, 15, probably 20 here, then I think you would then be able to get a cleaner shot at it.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'm going to go for the one at the back.
Okay, cool. Roll that d20.
14.
14 is a hit.
Okay. 6 + 3, 9.
9. As your arrow hits this thing, it tumbles out of the tree and boom, falls down. Yeah. So you were here, weren't you?
Yeah.
So that would be 5, 10, 15, 20. I think you've got 5 feet of movement left if you want to move anywhere.
I'm going to move one step to the left to be in front of the other green one.
This way?
No, not diagonally forward, just left.
This way?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yep. You've moved. So this thing is directly sort of up above you like that. After Thorin, it is Fergus. Fergus, you've just been hit with a dart, but you've managed to sort of suck the poison out of the wound, or pour Landris on it, and you're
It's the acid alkali thing. It evens out. It's fine.
Yeah.
I would like to move diagonal right, so I'm basically getting into the driver's part of the cart.
Okay. I think that would cost you double your movement to climb up there. So that would be 10 feet of movement if you're going to be here.
Fine. Yep. And then I'm going to throw one of my darts at the lizard person to my left.
Sure thing. I think they've got a range of 20 feet, and you're well within that. So roll a d20.
What's this, dexterity?
This will be dexterity, yes. Plus proficiency?
Yep, so 6.
I think it's going to be +6 for you, yeah.
23.
23 is definitely a hit.
1d4 + 4, yep. So that'll be 6.
6. Yep, you have certainly weakened this thing as your dart hits it in a point between its armor. Any more movement for you?
Yeah, I should try to help Sean Connery out. So I'll continue my movement so I'm one up from Sean.
Here?
Further.
One more. Hop down the other end.
Yeah, sure. So that would be 10, 15, 25 to get here.
Yeah, that's all my movement up.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Grub shot is unconscious. Now, he is an NPC, which means he doesn't really get 3 saving throws the way that you guys got saving throws. This is kind of a house rule that I run, because sometimes that can just mean because of course these guys don't get saving throws. If you knock them down to 0, they die. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that Grubshot has 1 saving throw. It's a make it, and he's okay.
Tom, would you say it's fair to say he's shaken but not stirred?
He's I mean,
you're gonna have to cut that joke out later, aren't you, from the video?
The
trailer, mate.
These creatures have got a license to kill, and you know, they're on Her Majesty's Secret Service, and they're I can't think of any more Bond films. Fergus, you are the closest ally. I'm going to say roll a d20. If it is a 1 to a 9, Grubshot will die.
Oh,
if it is a 10 and above, he will be stable but unconscious. If you roll a 20, he will regain 1 hit point.
Okay, so I'm gonna close my eyes, look up at the sky, pray to my gods, and then blow into his mouth to give life back to him. And I roll 14.
hey! Grubshot.
As you land next to him, you sort of you very, very quickly put him into the recovery position, and he's unconscious, but he's not dead. Landris, it's your turn. You've just seen Fergus scamper up here, throw a dart, and then run out of shot. You now cannot see what's going on over here, I don't think, because they're on the ground. Wagon is.
I'm completely oblivious to all that. My sights are going to be set on that purple fella.
Yeah, you can see him at the minute.
And he is on the ground, isn't he?
He is, yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to go and stand diagonal to him.
Yeah, you can do that. 5 feet.
Yeah, and just do a normal attack as I do.
Okie dokie, swing that greatsword.
That is a 10 plus 4 is 14.
14 is a hit. They don't have much armor on, these things.
Just hoping that the dice pay off now. Oh, 10 plus 2 is 12.
Yep, you. Where were you aiming?
I was going straight down the centre on this one.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you've split him into 2. He's he's had a bad day. Any more movement for you as he falls to your feet, at your feet?
I think at that point, Landris would be a bit more lax as he knows there's no one else around him. He's surrounded by corpses. I probably just very leisurely head back towards the back of the cart, thinking about beer.
Yeah, time for a celebratory Landris.
Of course.
So that would be 5, 10, 15, 20. You could get to here for 20.
I'd stop there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. After Landris, it's back to this guy, and it is going to climb out of the tree, and it's going to try and grapple Grubshot, who's lifeless in this net. And let me see. Okay. All right. It is going to. Okay. It has moved down. It's grabbed him. It's grappled hold of Grubshot, and it then starts to. Let me see here. It's moved down. Okay. Okay. It then starts to drag Grubshot's body along the floor like this.
Could I not do anything like to prevent that? Like grab back?
I'll say that you can use your reaction, because technically Grubshot is leaving your melee range to try and grapple back. So you're playing tug of war with this unconscious gnome. So you need to make a grapple attempt on Grubshot.
Well, what
As
Lizard
big.
Man doesn't know is for my many years in the monastery, I spent a lot of time playing grapple
the
now.
Okay, so in order to do a grapple, it's the first time we've seen this in action. You need to, and you're doing this as your reaction, you need to make sure that the thing you're trying to grapple is no more than one size larger than you.
No.
Now, at the minute, Fergus here is small. Of course, we know this Fergus is large, but this Fergus is small.
No, he's just close. That's far away.
Yeah. I love that Father Ted sketch. I think that Grubshot is definitely not more than one size bigger than you. So you can try to grapple him. And what that means is you need to have at least one hand free, which I think you do, right? Because you're not holding any sort of torches or anything like that, or weapons in your hand. So you can make a athletics check.
Athletics.
And what you need to do is you need to beat the athletics score that this creature made.
Okay.
So you're playing quite literally tug of war.
Cool. So what's the creature roll?
I've already rolled that number.
Okay. Do I get to know what it is?
If you let me know what your roll is, I can tell you what happens.
Okay. Fair enough. It is 11.
It rolled higher than an 11, I'm afraid.
Ah.
So as you
That's
lunge
some-
forward, you trip over some twigs and brambles as you lunge, and you're not quite able to get hold of Grubshot. His leather sort of jacket slips out of your grasp. It is now Thorin's turn. Thorin, you've seen this thing jump out of the ground, jump out of this tree, start to pull have a brief tug of war, and it's winning that tug of war.
I'm going to pull out my longbow again, and I'm going to take a shot at its heart, try and finish it off.
Okie dokie. Roll a d20.
11.
Is that including your modifier?
Yeah.
11 is a miss.
Okay.
Your arrow goes off into the trees, and luckily you don't hear Fergus go, "Ah!"
Okay.
Any movement for you?
No, stay where I am.
Okay. Grubshot has been stabilized by the magic hair stroking fetal position, sort of recovery position by Fergus, so he doesn't need to make a death saving throw. It is now Landris's turn. Landris, you've just come back here and seen that hill dwarf shoot an arrow and then curse as it twangs off into the woods somewhere.
Is it not Fergus's turn first?
Sorry, you're right. It is Fergus's turn. Sorry, yeah, I jumped from Thorin to Grubshot. Fergus, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I missed a bit.
I dealt no damage to it. I missed with my arrow.
Okay. And is he back in the tree or still on the ground?
No, he's on the ground. He's trying to drag this unconscious gnome in a net.
Okay. I will move into melee range.
Yeah, sure. If you were to move here,
yeah,
you would be in melee range.
And we'll get out the good old-fashioned quarterstaff.
Okie dokie. This is a D20 plus 6.
It is indeed.
Because it is a monk weapon.
Oh, that's bad. 11.
11 is a miss. It's a swing and a miss. You hit the trunk of the tree instead. But you have your martial arts, don't forget.
Yep. Do it again.
So this time you're using a fist or a kick or a poke in the eye or...
For a chop.
Karate chop, yeah.
Yeah. 10.
Unfortunately, once again, your karate chop hits the trunk of the tree. Dong! And you just hold
that
your
Landris
wrist.
kicking in.
Yeah. Okay. Any movement for you?
Okay, I'm gonna just at least get myself in front of it.
Like here?
Yeah.
Sure.
Just in case that might make a difference, and I'm not in anyone's way there either.
Okay. Cool. Okay, we've established that Grubshot you stabilise Grubshot with the Kiss of Life. He doesn't need to make a death saving throw because we've done that. He is completely sparked out, but it's now Landris's turn.
Cool. I am going to make an absolute beeline round that tree to stand next to Fergus.
You could go 5, 10, 15, 20 like this.
Yeah, stand next to Fergus.
30? Have you got 30 feet of movement? I think you do as a human, right?
I do.
That'd be 25 there.
Where were you? Were you here?
I was there.
So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Yeah. The second diagonal movement costs 10 feet of movement, remember. Yeah. So, yep, you're here. You're in melee range.
Yep, I go for the old classic.
Okie dokie, yep.
And that is a 17 plus 4, 21.
It's definitely a hit.
3 plus 4 plus 2 is 9.
9, wow. You deal a decent amount of damage to this thing, but it turns around and hisses at you. And you can smell its foul lizard breath right in your face. Still alive.
It needs more Landris.
Any more movement for you?
No, I'm going to stay there because then I'm in range for a reaction attack.
Sure. It is... wow. It's now this thing's turn. And considering the halfling was just punching the tree while you actually hit it with your sword, it sees you, Landris, as the threat. And it drops Grubshot and reaches for one of its daggers, wipes it against its oily skin, and rolls a 21.
Oh, that's definitely a hit.
This dagger pierces your armor, and you take 3 points of piercing damage.
Ew.
It's the second time you've been hit by one of these daggers, and you feel a second burning sensation. Could you make a Constitution saving throw for me, please?
+13 3 is 16.
Yep. This thing burns, but nowhere near as much as what Landris burned your throat earlier. You're able to shrug off whatever secretion that this thing wiped into this blade. And it is now... and this thing has attacked you. Seeing that you're still standing, and if it had eyebrows, it would raise them. And it attempts to climb the tree. It's going to climb the tree, but in doing so, it's going to leave your melee range. So, do you want to use an opportunity attack to try and attack it as it tries to climb up the tree?
Yeah, definitely.
Fergus? What's your dexterity is?
Well, my saving throw is +6.
Yeah, yours is +4, and Landris, yours is -1. Is it dexterity?
Yeah, I'm not very dexterous.
So I think because in theory, I'm guessing both of you are going to want a opportunity attack on this thing, right?
Yeah.
And because you're both within melee range, I'll say it comes down to the dexterity, and Fergus is quicker to react. So Fergus, you get one attack on this thing. I'll let you go first.
Okay.
So roll a d20. I assume you're aiming a quarterstaff, maybe?
Yep.
Okay, roll that d20.
18 +6.
Definitely a hit.
And then damage 7.
7. How do you want to do this? How do you want to do this? How are you aiming to strike it?
So it's trying to climb up the tree.
Yeah, you can just see it sort of bare butt wiggling as it tries to climb up the tree away from you.
I want to smash its kind of lower legs, just kind of spin my stick and whip its legs out from underneath it.
Absolutely. This thing moves quick, but nowhere near as quick as you. And you, with your final blow, you smack it around the back of the legs, and it tumbles down and impales itself on some rather nasty looking roots that are poking up out of the tree, and this thing is toast.
Toot. Mudder fudder.
And that is the end of combat, and you all earn some XP.
Hooray!
Ooh.
And you all earn 65 points of XP each.
Sounds like a level up to me.
What is your XP total now?
305.
305. 300 is the first threshold you need to meet to level up. If you want, you could say, for example, take a short rest here, which I think you were probably going to do anyway, right? And wait out the storm. And in doing so, at the end of that short rest, you would level up. Does that sound okay?
That sounds good.
Yeah, sounds perfect.
Cool. So, in the aftermath of this, there are 4 of these creatures here, and now you've got a chance to actually look at them, and they look like they've got some sort of natural-made, leather-bound armor, but it's quite sparing. Most of the time, you were able to find a way to penetrate their armor class. And there were 2 green ones, 2 purple ones. Like I said, they're about the size of a halfling or a gnome. and yeah, there's 4 of them dead on the ground. And
We know
Grubshot is in one of their nets, and he is unconscious.
I've been thinking about these. I started with 10 darts. I've now got 8. One of them is embedded in one of the.
This is a really excellent question. The way I rule this is that at the end of any combat, if you want, you can spend time browsing the battlefield, in inverted commas there, to retrieve half of your ammunition.
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of actually potentially taking these they're like throwing knives they've got.
They're daggers, yeah, that they're sort of attached to them. They're daggers, yeah. You'd know that. I think that from your time as a monk, you'd know that this thing can be used as a melee or ranged weapon.
I wonder if I could.
And it would have a similar throwing range as your darts.
I'm thinking of a couple of things. One thing is, could I at least go back up to 10 by borrowing some of these little daggers, or taking some of these daggers, or could I potentially, I can't do that, or as well as, get my darts and coat them in their poisonous slime.
Okay, we'll do these one at a time. Number 1, roll 4d4.
4d4. 3. 1. 3. 2. 3, 1, 3, 2.
9. I make that 9.
I'll make that 9 too.
You were able to retrieve 9 of these daggers from these creatures. Make a medicine check.
Medicine.
As you inspect the creature that is in front of you.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, first of all, make a nature check.
Nature. Oh, but that's less. That's only a 0 plus 0. Nature 15.
15, okay. You would rack your brains and think that, actually, you do recognize these creatures to be grungs. Grung, a grung. And these things do indeed have rather poisonous skin. But you would also know that grung poison loses its potency 1 minute after being removed from a grung. You'd know that these creatures tend to poison creatures and capture them for prisoner. And they use their poison to keep them sort of drugged up, as it were. However, it seems that Grubshot fell foul of the poison, while Landris and yourself, Fergus, were able to shrug it off. So it can't have been that bad, right? Nowhere near as dangerous as that giant centipede venom.
Bloody centipedes now.
So if you want to take a short rest here, remember it is still raining, and the horse is still, you tied it to that tree, so it wasn't able to bolt. If you want to take a short rest here, you can. Probably be no point lighting a fire or anything like that because it is still raining. It doesn't look like it's going to pass anytime soon, but if you want to take a short rest, you can.
Yeah, a short rest.
I'd like to, just to get some health back.
Yeah.
Sure. Do you want to roll a hit die then?
Sure, that'd be a D10.
Yeah. So you can, of course, roll a hit die, and you roll that and add your Constitution modifier to the result.
Great. So that's a 1 plus. Oh, actually, to be fair, 1 plus 3, so that's 4.
4. You get 4. Regain 4 points of HP. And let me see. Thorin, could you roll a D12 for me, please?
9.
9. The hour passes without incident. And that means that you guys are going to level up. So what that means is you now each have 2 hit dice that you can spend per day. Landris, you only have 1 remaining for the day because you've just spent 1.
Yeah.
But Fergus and Thorin, you still have 2. It
I
also
spent
means...
one as well because I lost lives earlier.
Oh, you wanted to spend 1. Did you
Oh,
spend
yeah,
1 just now?
Yeah, and I rolled a 7.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So,
Cool. So you've got 1 left. Fergus, Thorin, you have 2. Fergus, your hit die is it a D8?
it is.
So what you can do, the little thing I like to do is you can roll your D8 and add your Constitution modifier to it, and that is how many hit points you will gain. At the same time, I, the DM, will roll a D8 behind my screen. You can choose to either take your number or my mystery number behind the camera. But whichever one you take, you have to keep.
Okay.
So you roll, and I'm rolling.
Rolling now. Okay.
So whatever you've got, you would add your Constitution modifier to it. What is your Constitution modifier, by the way?
It is a whopping 1.
Okay, so it's whatever you've rolled plus 1. So what did you get?
I got 1.
Okay, so you can choose to keep your die, or you can choose to have mine.
I choose to take yours.
Okay. Very sensible, because I rolled a 5.
Woo!
So 5 plus 1 is 6. Your HP max goes up by 6 points.
Up by 6. That's amazing.
So it was
9.
Now it's 15.
That's great.
Double digits. Cool. Okay, alphabetical order. We're moving on to Landris. Landris, I think you roll it. What is your hit die? D10?
It's a D10.
D10. Wow. Okay. So let me find my D10. That's the one that goes up to 10. Why can't I find it? There we go. It's here. Okay. Rolling your end?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. What'd you get? Oh, and first of all, what is your Constitution modifier?
+3.
Okay. So what did you get?
I got a 4 +3, which would be 7.
Okay. I rolled a number 2. I didn't roll the number 2. I rolled a number as well, I should say.
You say it's unlike you to give us it away. I want to gamble and take your number.
Okay. So you could have had a 4. You could have guaranteed yourself a 4. I rolled a 7.
Ooh, that's +10.
So your hit point maximum was
11.
It is now
21.
21. Woof.
Does my current hit points scale with that, or does it just stay at the 8?
That's a really good question. Your current hit points remain as they are, 8. But your max. For example, if you wanted to roll another hit, your second hit die right now, you could. And you could, potentially go as high as 21.
I am going to do that. So I would heal a 6.
Cool. And last of all, we have Thorin. You are a ranger. What is your hit die?
D10.
D10. And what is your Constitution modifier?
+1.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Let's both roll a D10.
I'll take mine. I've got 7 + 1.
You're taking your 7. Okay, cool. So that's 8 points. What was your max hit total?
12, so now I'm 20.
Nice. Okay, cool. Thorin, what stuff do you gain for being a level 2 ranger?
So I can now talk to animals and cure wounds. So I've got the very tricky decision of going over and having a meaningless conversation with that horse, or trying to save grub shot. Yeah, I think I'm going to go over and try on grub shot now, seeing as grub shot is
Sure.
fickle.
Okay, cool. This is basically a healing spell, and the way it works is cure wounds. Let me just go to the right page. Player's handbook, but I did send you a screenshot of it. Cure wounds. The way this works is it's classed as one action, so you could in combat you could do this as your action instead of fighting using a weapon. You could cast cure wounds, and you have to physically touch the creature, and it regains. It's an instantaneous spell, and it regains a number of hit points equal to 1d8 plus your spell casting ability modifier. What is your spell casting ability modifier? That is going to be what is your wisdom modifier?
+2.
+2. Okay. So your spell. So if you want to, if you write this down somewhere, that your spell attack modifier is going to be your proficiency bonus, which is +2, plus your wisdom modifier, which is +2. So a total of +4.
Oh, nice.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in order for this spell to work, it's going to be 1d8 plus your spell casting ability modifier. So that's 1d8 plus 4. Okay. Meanwhile, if you write down as well while we're doing this, your spell save DC, this might come into effect for later spells that you get, is going to be 12. Because this is a flat 8 plus your proficiency, which is +2, plus your wisdom modifier, which is +2. 8 plus 2 plus 2 is 12. Okay, your spell save DC is 12. Your spell attack modifier is +4. Okay.
Cool. So I'm going to try and use the cure wounds now on grub shot to see if I can help him out.
Sure thing. He makes
I give it just off the skin at a non-contactless level. It's more kind of a reiki thing.
He looks absolutely normal. He's back to normal. It's good old grub shot. He's back, but he is still restrained in this net. Also, as a ranger at 2nd level, you also, as well as spellcasting, which is the big one, you also get to choose a fighting style.
I was going to go with the two-handed weapon thing.
The two-handed weapon, or because there's a difference. There's a two-handed weapon or two-weapon fighting.
Two-weapon fighting. Sorry, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
If you write two-weapon fighting down in your features and traits, then that would probably be something you could use with your short swords.
So at level 1, which we forgot to add, is I have second wind, which is almost like I have a second pool of stamina that in desperate situations I can call upon to heal for a D10, I think it is.
Yeah.
And at level 2, I gain action surge, which is along the same lines. In those desperate moments, I can take a second action between short rests or long rests.
Yeah. Starting at 2nd level, you can push yourself beyond your normal limits for a moment. On your turn, you can take one additional action on top of your regular action and a possible bonus action. Once you use this feature, you must finish a short or long rest before you can use it again. So once every short rest.
Cool, very cool.
Okay, so second wind, which is the first one you spoke about, which in theory you should have had from the start. It works that you can spend a bonus action to regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus your fighter level. So that will be, you're currently fighter level 2. So it'll be 1d10 plus 2. Very
cool.
handy. So, because you should have had that to begin with, I'll say that if you want, you can take back your second spent hit die.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
And so go back to eight hit points.
And at some point, if you want, you could just use your second wind instead. Does that make sense? Because you would do that, right?
Yeah, that does make sense. Thank you.
Because you should have had that for the entirety of the one shot. So the least I can do is, give you one extra hit die effectively. Cool. So that means you're going to be even tougher to kill because you've got like a max of like 20 something hit points, plus you can sort of get that second wind and your action surge as well, which is going to give you a lot more actions. Good stuff. Cool. And last of all, we've got the monk. Some very exciting stuff.
Oh,
for you, Fergus.
I have basically been waiting to. This is why I wanted to be a monk.
Awesome. Why? What do you get?
Because level 2 is the open doorway to a wonderful world of crazy moves. So, I now have something called Kai points, or Chi points, or Key points.
You can call them whatever you want. I normally call them Key, but it can be whatever you want.
Okay, well, in the monastery, I was told to say Kai.
Oh, Kai. Oh, right.
Yeah. Anyway, I get 2 of these. I haven't established how to get them back, but I think I did read it somewhere and I've forgotten. Anyway, I now have some new moves. First move, Flurry of Blows, which is basically, whereas currently I can do an attack and then 1 unarmed strike, I can now do, if I spend a point, 2 unarmed strikes. So I can go smack, pow, pow, like that.
A total of 3 attacks in one turn.
Yeah, I now have 3 attacks if I want. Patient Defense. You can spend 1 Kai point to take a dodge action as a bonus action on your turn. So what's a dodge?
Dodge. That's going to be very interesting. I think you're going to enjoy using that, because dodge means basically you're ducking and weaving and dodging out of the way, and what it means is it imposes disadvantage on attackers when they try to attack you. You're moving so quick, they're trying to hit you, but you've already moved, because they're rolling with disadvantage, so they roll 2 d20s and they have to take the lower of the 2. So it just means you're even harder to hit.
Cool. And then I've got, so whereas Landris has got Second Wind, I've got Step of the Wind. You can spend 1 Kai point to take the disengage or dash actions as a bonus action on your turn. So rather than doing the hitting thing, I could disengage, which I guess means leave without them attacking me.
Yes, it means you can leave their melee range without
this
them
makes me so
an
happy.
Opportunity attack. It's yeah.
Yeah, that's what I need so much. And dash. I don't know what that
Dash means you can spend double your movement on your turn. So, normally you can move, is it 25 feet?
Yeah.
What you can do is instead of taking an action and moving, or moving and an action, dash means you move twice. So you could move 50 feet on your turn.
Cool.
So you don't do any action, but you can move 50 feet. So the way that Kai works is, starting at level 2, you earn 1 point of Kai per monk level. And of course, you are level 2, so you've got 2 points. If you level up to level 3, you get 3 points, and so on and so forth. You regain, and this is like a sort of energy that you've got built up inside of you. You were probably taught how to harness and manipulate and manage this Kai at your monastery. And you can spend these points however you choose, as stated in those examples earlier. And if you spend a point of Kai, it is unavailable until you finish a short or long rest. And at the end of that long rest, you draw all of that expended Kai back into yourself.
Yeah.
You must spend at least 30 minutes of the rest, though,
meditating, rather than spending it, investigating or doing a patrol or anything like that. You have to sort of be, in a sort of trance of some sort.
I've also I could spend a Kai point with Step of the Wind to my jump distance is doubled, so no more tossing me.
Yeah.
And I get unarmored movement, which is probably always going to be the case. So I now move an extra 10 feet, so I now move 35 feet while I'm not wearing armor or wielding a shield, which I'm predicting I probably never will. This is my plan for the game.
Yep.
And that.
That's crazy, because 35 feet of movement. And remember, if you want to use Step of the Wind to dash, that means you can move 7 feet.
Yeah.
Because that's 35 twice. So that's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
70 feet if you want. That means, wow. Yeah.
And spoiler alert, because it does include it in this bit. When I get to the 9th level of this, I can run up walls, run vertically, and I can basically walk on water.
Oh my days.
9th level, you gain the ability to move along vertical surfaces and across liquids on your turn without falling during the move.
We just need to keep him alive that long, guys. Come on.
So Jesus was a level 9 D&D monk.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He was also
a monk. Yeah.
He was a monk for sure. And a halfling.
Yeah. Cool. So as you can see, already at level 2, you guys are already starting to branch off into 3 very different directions based on your class. It's really exciting that now spells are entering the fray, and you guys are now starting to get extra attacks. The fact that Landris might be able to use his... am I right in thinking that, Landris, you could maybe use your greatsword twice per turn?
That is all I'm thinking about.
Because that is pretty devastating, your greatsword. So I think you're going to be a serious opponent, which means I'm going to have to pick tougher bad guys for you to fight, I think.
Well, think about Fergus.
Yeah, Fergus. I've been a monk before, so I really enjoyed spending those points.
Yeah,
it gives you a lot of sort of flexibility and opportunities to do fun stuff.
Engage, I think, because I like the idea of being able to kind of jump into combat, strike, and then jump back out of combat.
Yeah, because you could still take your martial arts and get 2 attacks and then move back.
Yeah.
But if you want to stay in melee range,
3.
You could get 3. So that's pretty.
Obviously, that's based on you. So I use that up. So it's not like something I do every time, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you when you want to spend it, of course, and you'd regain it at the beginning of a short rest or a long rest. So I think that feels like a good point to pause for the campaign, because and we've just established all of your cool new stuff, and next time we will see some of that maybe in action. So that's a lot of fun. I'm guessing you guys are gonna try and get back on the wagon, as it were, and maybe head to Little Kizigar.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that maybe the wagon might not be salvageable, so I've got a thought of us basically walking and then maybe getting what's-his-face slung over the horse or something, and...
Well, Grubshot has been healed. He's back to full
he's back
health.
up and right, okay.
Thorin's magical touch, I don't know where he touched him, but he's back to full health.
Of course, yeah, I forgot about that.
But he is still in a net, but I'm sure you guys could,
Yeah, he's fine there for a week or so.
Poor Grubshot. But yeah, you got... Yeah. If you guys are going to Little Kizigar, then I can prep that accordingly.
I reckon we're on the way there. We might as well carry on and see what happens, right?
It can't get any worse, right?